venues take responsibility for everything. If the food goes bad, it's the venue's fault. Yep. Even if the venue doesn't provide food, we still take the responsibility. Yep. If someone's going to write a bad review about food, they write it on the venue. Same thing with alcohol. Same thing with florals. Sometimes we take the brunt of everything that happens that goes wrong. And I just think the biggest thing that venue owners need to realize is just go talk to your client. Just go understand how they're feeling, understand the amount of money that they've spent, understand their frustrations. And every single time I've done that, the client and I have been able to come to something that we both felt like we were winning. This is the Venue Nest podcast, a space where every part of being a venue owner gets to exist. The beautiful parts, the hard parts, and everything in between. Welcome back to the Venue Nest podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Shepard, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Kelsey Smith. Let's dive in, sister.
Yeah, so this episode, I kind of want us to dive into kind of some of the expectation versus reality and what caught you off guard the most when you first opened your wedding venue.
Yeah, well, I think number one, people love weddings. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want to own a wedding venue, actually? It's such a beautiful space. It's dreamy. People picture every day is going to be Cinderella walking down the aisle. And it's just this beautiful series of events that happen. And marriage is just this beautiful union. And I think going into that, that's what I had expected because I had been in the catering industry for so long that I would show up, I would cater an event, things would mostly go well, and I would leave, and that was it. And I think the biggest reality for me was really understanding, one, the liability that comes when you own a space and everything that happens. You're liable for so much that happens the day of, but also just knowing that pretty much every time something is you're gonna have a hiccup.
Always.
Even if it's a baby little burp, or a complete vomit of horrible things that can happen. Just knowing that that's going to happen and be okay with it. I was so fixated on perfection when we first opened that I think the perfection paralyzed me. And it didn't allow me to lead in a way that I wanted to because I just felt like there was so much chaos that I wanted everything so perfect. We've talked about this before. When we got our very first bad review,
I was defeated.
Oh, I sobbed.
Yeah.
I sobbed for hours and hours. And I just thought we have the worst company ever. We've totally lost the value of our brand. Everybody hates us. I'm never going to ever get my life back. Yeah. It was literally crawl into a hole and die.
Yes.
That's how I felt.
That's what it felt like to me.
It was so bad. But actually, I think what I've learned is to expect the unexpected. And I think when you have this mind shift of just knowing things are going to go wrong.
Yes.
Things, and sometimes those are in your control. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's with our own staff that maybe makes a hiccup. They place a table in the wrong spot. And then we had this horrible review come in. Let's just talk about reviews for a minute.
Yeah,
let's just say all the bad ones.
Yeah, let's just get those out of the way.
So we had this terrible review come in once that the bride and groom were extremely mad, 1-star review mad, that when they came in, their head table was too close to the wall.
Yeah,
it needed to be moved 3 or 4 feet off against the wall from where it was. And I'm sitting here thinking well, why didn't you ask someone?
Right.
No, nobody even asked. And I had talked to them on the phone after this because that's what we do and we make things right. But in the moment, they were so upset and no one even knew. And so I was well, that was a really stupid way to get a bad review. And so we've kind of talked about that with our staff. Hey, just double checking. Does everything look right? Is this how you want it? Is this, and this? And it just kind of eliminated. But what's been your favorite bad review? I have so many.
Oh,
not that we don't have a ton of bad reviews, but we've just been open long enough that we probably have 5 really bad ones.
Mine, something that it kind of ties all together. Something I didn't expect when operating the venue is the emotional weight
Ooh.
that I would carry.
Oh.
And emotional weight, meaning like if I had staff call me with any kind of hiccup, inconvenience, not even necessarily that I had to go fix it, but I was the second I hung up the phone, my mind is occupied in a full nother place for the remainder of the evening until I know they've locked up the doors, we are golden. And one of the times I get this call from staff who is like, you have to get down here immediately. Like, this is an SOS. You need to get down here. And I'm like, what is going on? They're like, we don't even want to tell you till you get here.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, okay. So we get there and come to find out the bride's dad had a chicken allergy. And they, for some reason, had ordered chicken Alfredo as their dish for their like meal, for their luncheon. And something had been miscommunicated in the process of catering, and the dad ended up ingesting chicken and is having full.
No, I don't think he ingested it.
Something happened.
He either like shook someone's hand or like kissed someone's lip who had eaten it. He didn't eat the chicken. I remember this story.
Okay, it was like he was so sensitive to something.
Yes.
Either way,
it was a terrible allergy, and we should not have served chicken.
No.
Yes.
Lesson learned. But he goes into full allergic reaction.
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital. He heads out to the literal hospital. And so, rightfully so, the bride is livid. The mother of the bride is livid. The whole family's on pins and needles. Like, what is happening to him? He's in the hospital. And their first dance, their bride, like, father-daughter dance is supposed to be happening. Meanwhile, he's in the hospital. And I remember sitting thinking, like, we're done.
Yeah.
This is all over. This is all over. And everything ended up being able to be wrapped up. He was okay, just so everybody knows. He did not pass away.
We don't think it's funny. The allergy was not funny.
No, this was not funny.
Just to be clear.
You either laugh or cry, and it's like you got to laugh about it. But now
4 years later.
At the moment, I was literally crying. But that whole time, I feel like the expectation was everything's going to be always golden. And the reality was, okay, when stuff like this happens, I had no idea what to do. I had no systems in place. I had no level of escalation for our staff to know what to do. Like, I personally didn't know what to do. I had nothing in place to be like, if XYZ happens, you do this. And so I'm sitting there, my mind spinning, being like, well, there goes my job. There goes my job. There goes the venue's name, reputation. We're toast.
Yeah.
And that was a huge lesson for all of us, I think. Huge lesson. But the reality of that sat with me emotionally for days.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, that's one of those things in the wedding industry you just don't really expect is the emotional burden.
Yeah.
The emotional weight that you're carrying. Because these are lifetime events.
Yeah.
That bride doesn't get her wedding day back.
Yeah.
And I follow her to this day. We are friends. So all is well.
Worked out.
Yes, all is well. But it's heavy.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to bring up that failure teaches us a lot more than success ever will.
Yes.
And maybe that's why we've learned a lot. I don't know. But I think in those moments, whether you've had an allergy at your venue or whether you placed a table or a chair in the wrong position, like whatever hiccup that you feel like you've had, I think instead of letting it just destroy you mentally and emotionally, because it can. I know what that weight feels like. You know what that weight feels like. And the reason that it hurts so bad is because we are really passionate. We care deeply about our clients, just like you care deeply about yours. And so I think the biggest lesson that we've learned in all of this is never let the same thing happen twice.
100%.
When you have something that comes up inside of your venue that you haven't experienced before, what are you doing to fix it?
How to never have it happen again.
Like, you are never letting that happen ever again. It's okay to make mistakes. Yeah. Like, I just think people need to understand that. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we prevent them from happening again inside of our business. The funniest one, actually, like, this is my favorite story to tell. And then we'll move on. Yeah. But this is the best story. So when we opened, one of the biggest things that we had concern about was like, what is our alcohol policy going to be? What is our contracts going to look like? Which bartenders are we going to allow? Because we were not doing in-house bartending. That was all going to be outsourced. And so we, following all of the Utah laws that we knew we needed to follow, all of these different things. Well, actually, we didn't even know Utah laws existed.
No.
Just so we're all clear. We didn't know you had to follow Utah laws.
That has been learned.
Yeah, one of the mistakes. We just thought bartenders, like, if you hired a licensed and insured bartender, like, shouldn't they know the rules?
Yeah, they're golden.
I don't know. So this was probably like our third wedding we ever had. This was back in 2021. And, we have a lot of staff because we're doing the catering and we're running the actual venue. And it was probably towards the end of the night. And I had just walked down to the bathroom to go to the bathroom, like most people would go to the bathroom for. And I saw this guy in the hall and he like had his pants all the way down to the ground. And I was like, what is this man doing here standing naked in the hallway? So I like walk over to it and I'm like, sir, you need to pull your pants up. Like, this is inappropriate. He is plastered.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is so drunk. And so he like pulls his pants up, whatever. And we both like walk away. Well, probably like a half an hour later, he is still obviously plastered. And who knows, he probably drank even more at this point. Because this was a really, really bad wedding for us in terms of alcohol use. And all of a sudden, I see out of the corner of my eye a naked man going down our railing.
And it's a big railing. Like, guys,
it's like 40 feet.
Oh, yes. Like, it's tall.
Oh, it's so bad. And I'm just thinking, what am I going to do? Like, do I call the police? Do I get like, everyone was drunk at this point. Bride, groom, parents, like, and I'm 30 something at this point in time. Like, I'm a grown woman and I am like, I don't know how to handle this situation. So we get him off the railing, unclothed, get him away. We ended up just like telling everyone, like, it's time. Like, you're done. You're done. We had to call an Uber for the bride and groom because they were, pretty wasted, which whatever, that's no big deal calling an Uber. I'd rather them drive safe.
100%.
But I remember like getting in bed that night and being like, what am I doing? Like, this was absolute chaos. This was not fun for me.
Right.
Everything I loved about running weddings was completely sucked out of me because of that. But I'll tell you what I did Monday morning. Monday morning, I remember we were like, okay, what do we allow and what do we not allow at our venue in terms of alcohol now? Because we are not letting things like this happen. Our contract was not dialed in enough.
No.
Our expectations were not clear enough. And I think the biggest thing I've learned from like reality, to what maybe our expectations or hopes were when we first started was, I think that we believe everyone respects our property just like we do. We think everyone is going to care for our property just like we do. And the reality is that people don't. And they're there to celebrate their event. They're there to have a good time. And it's really on us as venue owners to create those lines, to create the boundaries, to create the expectations so that we can run a venue in a way that not only celebrates the couple, but also protects our building and our staff from any type of harm.
100%.
Emotional harm, physical harm, anything like that. And I think that was the biggest thing I learned as an owner is just creating those boundaries to bring back the love and passion for what we were doing, because it can very easily get out of hand.
And I think there's going to be venue owners out there listening to this that empathize in their own ways, because I know, to your point of this whole episode, there are hiccups that happen.
Yeah.
And you have to roll with it. So I hope that these stories have made somebody feel more seen. And kind of along that line, I would love for you to answer this for everybody listening. When you have times that are kind of chaos, craziness, that you have to like, whoa, what just happened? What does your client recovery look like? Because I think a lot of these venue owners, we were in this same boat of like, how do I recover from this? How do I speak to the client after this?
Yeah.
I think this is something you're really good at. I would love for you to explain to everybody how you go about it.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about this one. I think that we are a client-first industry in that, not that I would say the client's always right, but the client's feelings are always top priority for me. Experience is a huge thing for our company.
Yes.
And anytime that we've had hiccups, even when we've had venue directors, more often than not, I want to be the one that calls. I think there's two sides to every story. I think the very first thing that all people need to know and understand is most people just want to be heard, and they really don't need anything to be solved. They just need you to listen to what they were upset about. So when I call someone, the first thing I say is like, I just want to hear what happened. And even if my staff has already like told me everything that really happened, I want to hear it from their point of view, because once we can understand where they're coming from, we really know what they're hurting about. So I have them tell me like the whole story, and I empathize with them. Like, I can see why that was really disappointing. I can see why that was really frustrating. Just validate those feelings, because the times that maybe I didn't validate those feelings is where I felt like the situation got out of hand. Not that we were yelling back and forth. I wouldn't do that. But where I felt that I didn't validate the feelings, they were more and more unhappy. But I think when you can de-escalate their feelings just by listening to them, they really will come to a common ground where you can solve whatever needs to be solved. And so I think that's kind of how I've gone about this. One of the like best things, I'm going to kind of go opposite of like a bad review.
Yeah.
So I had a client one time, I was filling in to do venue tours. Our venue director was gone, and I was filling in for her. And I was 10 minutes prior to the venue tour. And I was actually on the phone with another client, and the client that was doing the venue tour showed up, and I couldn't get to her right then. I needed to end the phone call. And so I had told, like, I'd kind of like, placed my finger at the window, like, I'll be there in just a second. And to make a long story short, I got off the phone call. Her appointment was like 10 o'clock. I walked out at 9:55. I walked out and like couldn't find the client. Like, I was like, where'd she go? So was walking around like trying to see where she was at. Well, I could see that her fiance, I'm assuming that's who it was, got into the car and like drove away, like left the building. So I ended up calling. They didn't answer. So I sent him a text and was like, hey, like your appointment was at 10 o'clock. I'm so sorry. I couldn't get to you right then. Do you want to come back? Like, I'm here for you. And she was like, well, if we weren't important enough for you when we got there, then this is not the venue we want. And so I was like, well, I really apologize. Like, your appointment was at 10 o'clock. I was ready for you at 9:55. Now, most people listening would be like, screw that client. You don't want that client. They're a nightmare of a client. I agree. Don't get me wrong. Like, I agree. If people are going to treat you like that, that is not right in any way, shape, or form. However, experience is vital. Trust is vital in this industry. And so I text back and said, I'm so sorry you feel like that. Could I at least Venmo you some money for gas? And she texted me back and she was like, why would you do that? And I was like, oh, we take care of our clients here. That's what we do. So if you felt like you had a bad experience, then at least let me pay you for gas. I don't know where you're traveling from. And they ended up traveling like an hour is where they were. Prior to this, when I had texted her, when she was like, hey, we're not coming back or whatever, if we're not important to you enough, she had threatened to like leave this horrible review. I was like, you blah, 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 blah. She had like threatened to do this whole, I'm going to leave you a bad review.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care. This was on you, sister, not me. And so anyway, she ended up sending me her Venmo. And I think I sent her like $20 for gas. I can't remember, something like that. And nothing was said after that. She like, no, thank yous. Like, no, like, I'm not going to write you a bad review. I just expected to get a bad review. Well, the next day we get a review, a 5-star review. And it's from this lady that's like, we didn't end up booking at this venue. But I just want to say that their client experience is really well. Like, she went out of her way to do XYZ, whatever. And I just think it's a beautiful reminder. Like, I remember the venue director calling me and being like, we just got this review from this lady. Like, what happened? And I told her. And I just think it's a good reminder that we put our clients' feelings first, whether they're right or wrong, that they're just felt, they're seen. And I think that that's something we try to do really well inside of our company is we're okay to admit that we made a mistake. And there are times that it isn't even our mistake. sometimes it's the client not communicating something and then they push it on you because venues take responsibility for everything. If the food goes bad, it's the venue's fault. Even if the venue doesn't provide food. A lot of venues provide food in-house. We don't provide food in-house anymore, but we still like take the responsibility. If someone's going to write a bad review about food, they write it on the venue. Same thing with alcohol. Same thing with like florals. Like sometimes we take the brunt of everything that happens that goes wrong. And I just think the biggest thing that venue owners need to realize is just go talk to your client. Just go understand how they're feeling, understand the amount of money that they've spent, understand their frustrations. And every single time I've done that, the client and I have been able to come to something that we both felt like we were winning in the end.
100%.
Both have to win. The venue doesn't have to win and the client doesn't have to win. It needs to be a mutual respect of winning. And I feel like when we get there is when the brand continues to build because all it does is develop trust. Even if you make a mistake, the client says, they made it right.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
It's respectable.
Yeah.
I feel
like we're doting on ourselves. We make plenty of mistakes. Don't get me wrong, people.
Well,
I'm just telling you how we've learned.
I think to any venue owner listening, something to maybe think about if you haven't thought about it already is your client experience journey and your client recovery journey. And they're very different.
Very different.
And because those moments are going to happen. Everybody has them. Moments are going to happen and we empathize with you and we have experienced it plenty as you've heard this episode.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a time where you're going to have a really brand transformative moment from you recovering from a bad situation. Clients remember that. Yeah. People remember how you treated them after a situation went wrong. Rather than being defensive, take accountability if there's accountability to take and move forward. And they're going to remember that. I remember moments like that when I've interacted with a brand like that. So just know we feel you. We see you. We've had plenty of mistakes and I'm sure plenty more to come.
Yeah.
Plenty more to come. Yeah. But yeah.
So thanks for listening to today's episode. Join us for another episode on the Venue Nest podcast. Until next time, friends.
Toodaloo.
I hope something in today's conversation made you feel a little more seen.
And a little less alone in all of this.
If it did, take a minute to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps more venue owners find this space.
And if there's something you're navigating, we'd love to hear from you.
You can find us on all of our socials, but more importantly, go join our Venue Nest community.
We're so glad you're here.
We'll see you next week.